Have you ever looked at someone else's build in Satisfactory and thought, are we even playing the same game? Well, I can assure you you are, and all you need to know is some advanced building techniques to get your build up to that level. I'm Scratch, and I'm going to show you 5 of those advanced building techniques with a bonus 6th one that I can guarantee you will not have seen anywhere else. So, let's get started. Okay, so I'm just going to walk you through a few of the examples. Just to start off, I want to say, obviously I've got creative mode on, so I'm not building, I've got no build cost, and I'm just flying just to make everything more easy, but you can achieve any of these techniques in vanilla. The only mods I'm using is Sky UI, just so it doesn't go dark while I'm building. Okay, so the first one we're going to look at is how to get perfectly matched pillars at an angle. It always looks really nice to have some angled ones. This works in and out. So what you'll need is obviously some pillars and a beam. As always, beams are the most useful thing. So the first thing you want to do is attach a beam to the top of this. Make sure you're in freeform mode, by the way. If you don't know how to do that, you go select your beam and then hit R. You see I'm switching through the build modes, and you need that one, the third one, freeform. You need to click on the top of this pillar or the outer side of this, and then the top of here. Add a pillar here and a pillar there, and then you'll need to delete these original pillars you had. So it's a good idea sometimes to add a marker. So I'm just going to mark that one. This one I don't need to because I know it's right in the center of this foundation. So I'm just going to delete that and delete that. And we also can delete this beam now. And then you want to go from the bottom of this one to the bottom of that one. And then place a pillar on either end. Get rid of these and that beam. Then place these in here. Add your original pillars back in. Delete these two here. And then fill in the center. And there we go. You have perfectly clean matched angles on the bottom and on the top. You got a bit of overlap in the middle there, but you can't really notice it. There's no Z fighting on pillars, but there you go. You can use this in a variety of different ways. I'll show you some clips now of different ways I've used it in builds, but it can really take your a build to the next level. Anything like this, an angle or a curve, will really make your build stand out. Okay, so we've jumped over to the blue crater for the next one. Gonna mix up the locations for each one, keep it interesting, and this is a simple one but an effective one. It's basically how to angle match foundations, so you can do some nice kind of straight, you can do some kind of angled corners to your builds. It's a quick, easy way to stop your factories looking like boxes. So I'm going to show you a few different ways of doing that. And what I'm going to do here first is I'm just going to chop off the corner of this, and then we're going to make a nice angled foundation that goes across here that adds a little bit more interest to the build. Now the first way of doing this, if I grab where are you? Should have prepared, there we go, a road barrier. If we put it into get it on a 45, so this is a 45-degree angle here that we're going to be doing, so make sure you're on a 45-degree angle. And then zoom it out on both sides. And then attach a foundation to your second road barrier. And there you go. Easy peasy. You have a nice diagonal edge to your build. Again, a great way to break up those boxy builds. But obviously with a road barrier, let me get one back again, you are locked into these So there's quite a few there, but obviously not infinite amount of angles you can do. So what if you wanted to, let's get rid of this. Instead of doing a nice straight one, we wanted to do a strange angle like this. I'm not sure. Let me just test it. Should have tested this first. See if we try the road barrier method on this. If I go that way, we are too wide. We go one more click in, we are too shallow. That's not going to line up. So the best way of doing this is with our good old friend, the beam. I think it's going to be a bit awkward because of the 4 meter foundations. Let me just put some 1 meters in here. You can obviously do this as well, just to make this work a bit better, and then replacing them back with 4s, because then we can get it right on this edge here. You see on the 4 meter foundation, it won't position the beam so it's directly in the center of the foundation, because that's how you need it. So you go from one edge here again in freeform mode. If you remember from the other one, we can switch through with R, but you need to be in freeform mode. You go from this corner all the way over to this corner. And then this uses nudge, so I can do this with the 4 meter. Oh, no, I can't. 1 meter, like this. So hit H for nudge. You can see the nudge controls popping up at the bottom there. And then we want to go 1, 2, 3, 4 in, and 1, 2, 3, 4 over, like that. Put a foundation there, and then do exactly the same, pointing at the end of the beam. H for nudge. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we can zoop. There we go. There we go. Get rid of the beam. Fill the gap. And there we go. So you can see you can use if you've got a nice 45-degree angle, or one of the angles that the road barrier can do, you can use that. It's nice and easy. But if you want to do something that's slight, or any angle at all, you can use this. It's also a really good technique to fill weird gaps. If you've got strange angular gaps of how you're matching up foundations, you can use that technique to do the same thing. Obviously you might need to just fill some holes like that. And a quick tip, you can see it Z-fighting here. Z-fighting is where two assets are at exactly the same Z position, obviously on your XYZ axis in the world, and the computer or the game doesn't know which one to render first. Okay, so what you can do, you can fix this little bonus tip using a pillar. So what we're going to do is we are going to pop our pillar in the center of this foundation, delete it, and then position it back on like so. And you can see Z-fighting disappeared, because snapping it to that pillar has raised it up. You can't even see it, but it's raised it up just a tiny little bit above, so the computer now knows which one needs to be rendered first. And if you do that with all of this Z-fighting, it will disappear. So a little bonus tip on that one. But that's it for this, and we'll move to a new location for the next tip. Okay, so for our next tip, I've moved over to the edge of the Titan Forest here in this lovely little beautiful lagoon. And the next tip is going to be telling you how to position anything you want, anywhere you want. Obviously, there is a build grid. You can see this, there is a grid that we build on, but this tip will allow you to escape that grid completely. So it involves our friend the pillar here. I'm just going to snap it to the edge of this platform. You'll see why in a minute. And then I'm going to grab myself a wall. Where are you? There we go. Let's not use those. Let's use the lovely concrete. And as you can see, when I put it on this wall, instead of just having it snap to the edges, I can now slide it with 100% control. Obviously, you can do several positions here. You can snap it that way, or you can rotate it with the mouse wheel, and it lets me place it anywhere I want. If you're wondering what you could do with this, you could use it to create just slightly thicker walls. of any depth you want. More usefully, if I grab a wall here and I delete this foundation first, we put the pillar into here, keeping that wall there just for reference, and then you can see I can slide it to line it up exactly with this foundation, like that. Get rid of these, put the foundation back, and now you can see instead of having the wall, because as normal you get this slight overhang on your walls, but now using that technique you can see I have lined my wall up absolutely perfectly in line with the edge of the foundation. So that is one of the main uses for this technique, is getting walls exactly where you want them, but it has a lot of different applications, and obviously you can use it to build on with other techniques as well to get things exactly where you want them, rather than just being dictated by this grid, especially with walls. And obviously you can nudge, but you will never be able to nudge. See, if even if I nudge in, I can't get it perfect. Even if I hold control and do half nudges, we're still not able to get directly on top of that wall and line them up perfectly like I have here. So I've brought us to this lovely waterfall just at the edge of the Titan Forest. Just listen to that lovely calming water for a second. A little bit of ASMR for you. Middle of the video. Just like to say thank you very much if you've stuck around this long. I hope you've enjoyed the content. I hope you've enjoyed the tips. If you have, please drop a like or a subscribe to keep up to date with my future videos. And now, with that little bit of ASMR out the way, let's continue with the tips. So for this one, I'm going to show you something I showed in my last video, which was the first part of the tour of my starter base, and it's how to do rounded pillars. And I thought I'd show you because that video is an hour long, so if you didn't want to sit through an hour long video to get to this tip, then I will show you it now. Now there's two different techniques. The easiest way to do the first one is to start with a pillar like this. I would build up 3 and remove the middle one. Then you can point at this top one and hold control, and that will allow you to rotate the pillar more finely rather than this. If you don't hold control, it is rotating, but it's rotating in 45-degree increments, so you can't really tell. So hold control and you have finer control. So all you do is one click, zoom down, delete that one, and then repeat this process all the way around. And you can see as we go, doing it one click at a time because it will remember each time the last angle you're at. Oh no, oh dear. One click for each one. Nearly done, and you'll see you'll get a nice solidly round pillar. Now obviously you can do this with metallic pillars, and you can do it also with frame pillars, which looks quite cool. Can I show you that? Let's just give you, there we go, there they were. So same deal. Hello. Same deal with this, and you get a pretty cool effect. So quite a nice ridged looking pillar there. Okay, so we can get a slightly different looking pillar with these concrete ones by using our trusty friend, the beam. So make sure you're in default mode, and then go up by 4 meters, and then snap a pillar to the top. Delete the beam, grab a new beam, go up by 4, but this time do one click either to the left or the right with your mouse wheel, position another pillar, and then keep repeating this up. So it would be 1, 2 clicks, that. And then the next one will be 3 clicks the right way. 1, 2, 3. And the next one 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then this should be the last one of 5 clicks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then you can already see we've got but just to bring it down to this level, we can easily just snap pillars to the bottom of these, and you can see you've ended up with a beam with, not a beam, a pillar, rounded pillar with ridges similar to this. I'll quickly do on this one, this style actually, because I'm curious to see what that will look like. So let's test that out. And there we go, I've used the metal pillar, what is it called again? Small frame pillar. And you get a much more ridged version, unsurprisingly. But yeah, so you can use this technique on all the different pillars, including the large pillars. You could obviously, if you skipped out every other one, you would get a slightly different looking pillar with even more ridges on it. So obviously, I'll leave that to you. You can play around with this technique and create rounded pillars, ridged pillars, and yeah, just have fun with pillars, and we'll move on to the next tip. Okay, so our final main tip is how to create arches, curves, or spheres or circles with pillars. Now, I've brought us somewhere dark and scary for this because it's very easy to make a mistake with this one, which I did in my last video, which I'll explain the mistake I made now. So I'm just going to put a beam up to a random angle, and then I'm going to pop out 4 meters this way and 4 meters that way. And just pop some markers down there. Now, what I recommend you do is put yourself into freeform mode again. We've been doing through most of the video with the beam. Click it to the top here like that. Do the same here like that. And here's where I made my mistake in my last video. I did that. Looks fine now. But what I'm going to do is I'm quickly going to zoom forward and carry on with this, and I'll show you what the problem is. Okay, so it's a bit harder to sell on this example because it's quite small, but I think you can see that that is not a perfect arch. The curve into each other, they meet up really nicely, but you can see it's slightly pointed in the center and it's not a completely smooth arch. Now, if I continued from the one side, you'd see the problem with this. So if I continue around like this, I think you can see where the issue is here, and you see that's not going to line up properly. We're going to carry on round and we're going to end up somewhere down here. So what happens is you end up with a spiral instead of a circle, which is obviously not what we're looking for. If you are looking for a spiral, all good. Now, the reason for this is something I recently learned from Maker Gaming, who is an awesome YouTuber. You should go and check out his series, and the builds he's doing at the moment are great, so go and have a look at those. I'll drop a link in the description below. But what's happening is this origin point here of the beam is exactly 0 meters, and as you can see, if I go up here, we're at 5.292. so when you snap a beam there, every time we are getting slightly, as you can see, we're getting slightly further out from the 4 meters we started at, because we are snapping a beam off the meter. So every time it's adding a slight bit to each one. Whereas if I get rid of these quickly and I add Same thing, so you see it's off the grid, but I start at the 0 origin point. Now, the center of this beam is 4 meters. We're sticking to 4. We're not slowly growing, so I'll do the same thing. I'll start from this end, zoom in, around, get rid of that beam, and you can see, again, centered 4 meters. So we are continuing this all the way around, which I will quickly do now. Okay, so we have our nice clean archway there. Now, you can obviously, if you wanted to create a circle, you just carry it all the way around. And if you want to create a sphere, all you have to do is this. Instead of pointing at the top, we point to the side one, like this. Zoop out from the center there. And you can go all the way around this way. And all the way over that way, and keep doing it until you get your sphere. Now, a little trick with this one that I found building nuclear build is it can be quite tricky sometimes because, see if I can do it, there you go, look, you see that slight movement in that beam? It's really hard to see. You want that, you don't want that. So you see if I click it here, we get a nice smooth edge there. If I go for the other one, see if I can get it here. That, what we get is this lump. You don't want that. Now, sometimes, as you can see, that beam movement was very tricky. It moved from there to there. And it can sometimes be, you see how it's just changing the amount. It can be tricky to get it right. So what I suggest is once you've got this original beam in place, what's happening is it's snapping to this one, not this one. We want it to snap to the top of this one. So what you can do is take this one, so you don't want to delete it, add a marker here, and then delete that one. Should be right. There we go. Out of the way. And now we can go to the right position really easily. Get it in place and then snap that one back in, and you see we get a nice, so yeah, you would carry that on all the way around and all the way around this way and all the way around that way and all the way around the bottom, and you'll end up with a sphere on the inside of here or on the outside.
It was at this moment that he knew he fucked up.
Okay, and so for our final bonus tip, I've brought us to the nice, tranquil Spire Coast. Now, this is a bonus tip because I'm not entirely sure how useful it is, but I think it's interesting, and I guarantee, if you've seen a very old Satisfactory video, you won't see it anywhere else. I haven't seen it anywhere else since watching a very old Stinarchi video. If you don't know who he is, go check him out. Unfortunately, he's not made a video for a long time, but I have to credit this technique to him because it's the only place I've seen it before. But basically, it's a way of creating curved walls using train tracks. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to build up some foundations in some random spots. Let's pop one there. That's too high. And let's go there. Yeah, cool. Now I need to pop one here just to get me started, and then what I do is I grab my train track, and you'll need to put a straight one in first, just so you've got a point of reference. Then I'm going to curve this one all the way around over to here. Let's just make it, I don't know, right there. Get rid of this, and then do a much tighter curve all the way to here, and then you could even, if I hadn't done too sharply, you could probably join it up if you did it a bit bigger. And I'm going to get rid of these, little supports. Now this could be helpful, I guess, for actually creating supports for railways. But if you don't know, if I take a pillar, I'm going to use the bigger ones. So all I'm doing is holding E to get this wheel up. You can snap things to the bottom of railway tracks and they slide along it. So I think you might have figured out where I'm going with this. So take the pillar, snap it on, zoop it down. And then take the next one, slide it until it matches up exactly, and keep going, just like this. So I will speed this up for you, and you just keep sliding it across until it matches perfectly. And there you go. All you need to, I've made a bit of a mistake there because I was rushing. All you need to do now is remove the train track from the top and you have a really nice shape. Now, obviously to get this kind of weird curve, you could go a bit more mental with it. You could then turn it out and go different directions. But to get this kind of shape would be quite difficult with any other curving method. It would take a lot of time. That took me about 2 minutes, if that, to get this curve. And yeah, you could either just keep it as a railway support or use it as an edge to your building. I think it's quite a cool little technique to create weird, if we look straight down it, you can see it's kind of a squiff C shape. But yeah, a nice way of creating some very interesting curved walls for your builds. So that's it, guys. That's my 5 tips and this one bonus tip on advanced building techniques in game. If you want to see any other techniques explained, if you've seen anything in anyone's builds that you'd be interested to know how to do, let me know in the comments down below. If you've liked this video, I mean, well, tell me by liking it. And if you want to see more of my uploads, subscribe, because I do not have a consistent schedule yet because I do this for fun. So if you want to see the next one, make sure to subscribe whenever that comes out. Hopefully, I'll see you in the next video. I've been Scratch. Thanks for watching.